Good morning. Good morning. What a wonderful world. I love that song. Look at this. This is my new way of speaking now. Post-its. I don't know. It's like, let me try something new and different. I'm excited about today. It's going to be a little bit advanced, but I know that you can handle it, right? It's going to be very metaphysical, but I feel that we are ready for this message. So the power this month is imagination. And when I was coming up with my talk title, I came up with imagine how divine you are. And I just love the word divine. I always write in my emails, oh, that's so divine, or on Facebook, oh, that's so divine. But I always picture divine as the Christ self, as something that's beautiful, that it's a wonderful world type of experience. That's when I think divine. But when I looked up the definition on Google of what divine is, I was like, wow, I'm so happy I picked this topic. And it said on Google, divine, the definition is of, from, or like God or a God. So like God, from God. So the divine is God, is you being as God created you. I'm going to begin with imagining. I want to play a little bit today. So I want you to just know that at the beginning, as it says in the Bible, at the beginning there was a word and the word was God. Just want you to imagine that. Imagine that place that is very heavenish, that's perfect, that's blissful, there's no judgments, there's no war, there's no grievances, there's no suffering. There's none of that. It's just perfect peace. It's like an experience of euphoria and bliss that if we're practicing the spiritual practice of unity, we actually experience it here. So we're just playing today, so you're thinking of the story, so we're imagining that this is where we come from, where we are, where we always have been and have never left. But there was one sort of energy, this all comes from the Course in Miracles that I'm speaking about right now, that says, maybe there's something different. Let me imagine maybe another world. Something, just a thought of separation. The Course in Miracles would say, the Son of God forgot to laugh. Isn't that beautiful? The Son of God forgot to laugh. Here we are. Separation, good, bad, judgment, fear, grievances, wars, disconnection. The big one is a separation, because where I was talking about from the beginning is a sense of oneness, imagining your oneness. So here we are. Our job is to remember again and again the truth, which is that we've never left that space. It was just an imagination that we're separate. Does that make sense? But we've never left. We're in that oneness with God, and there's something within us that experiences separation. Then the Course in Miracles would say that then from there, we feel guilty, because supposedly we've separated from God. So hence the Course in Miracles would say we're never upset for the reason we think, because we're really upset because of our separation from God, and we project our guilt outside to punish ourselves. I know, this is very advanced today. Welcome. I know you can handle it. Right? So, and whatever you might not understand, just put it on the shelf. Just put it on the shelf, and maybe later on it'll come to you. But these are important principles. I feel that me really practicing this and knowing this has really freed me when I understand this. Let's take in time. So you have the opportunity with practice to remember who you are and to stop punishing yourself because of something that you feel guilty for, which is your separation from God. We project this guilt outside and then we suffer. That's why we're never really upset because this person did something to us. We're really upset because of our unconscious guilt, because we've separated supposedly from our Father. And we never have. We never have. We're always there. It's just to imagine that again. And that is the power this month, is to imagine that again. Now, I'm going to give several steps on how to return to that. Now, when that separation happened, we're here, begins the wrong mind. So the ego gets created. So imagine that. The ego gets created automatically because you're thinking, oh, well, let's go play somewhere else. Right? Then, boom, the separation happens, the ego is created. The ego is the part of our wrong mind within the structure of experience we're having. The ego is that part that separates. The ego is the one that judges. The ego is the one that tells you you're not good enough. The ego is the one that whispers in your mind, your happiness comes from what's outside. That's how you're complete. When everything outside is working out, oh, that is the answer. When the separation happened and the ego was created, guess what? Our Father ain't going to leave us alone. He's not going to leave us alone. He holds us in such high regard, but He's not going to make that real for us. That imagination that we separated, that dream that we've created, God is not going to make it real for us. So God is going to hold us on a pedestal. He's going to stay in heaven. He's going to stay there in that love that we are. He's going to bring in the Holy Spirit. He's going to bring in the Holy Spirit so we can connect. We can connect to Him. Because He's not going to sit here and make this real for us. He holds us in high regard all the time. The Holy Spirit knows that we're sleeping. And the Holy Spirit is gently waking us up and telling us, you are a perfect child of God. Remember that. Come home. So this is what we've imagined. We've imagined a darkness when there was always a light. Now we must bring that darkness and imagine that darkness turning into light. The first thing we must do is to recognize and take responsibility for that we are the creators of our world and not a victim of the world that we see. And just own that. Be like, wow, everything that projects out there is my creation. I am the creator of it. Now, sometimes this might not be good news because some of the stuff you see is a little bit, a little bit off. You're like, oh my God. I'm not saying that you literally created it, that you made someone do something to you, although you have the opportunity to experience it the way that you want to. Am I going to experience this through the imagination that I've created, that I've imagined this ego, which is not real? Or am I going to experience this through the Holy Spirit, which is God's gift to me? And that I have dominion over choosing that every single second. So the key here is to always choose the right teacher. It's always there. We just need to ask for help. Holy Spirit, let me see this another way. I have no idea what this means. Sometimes you see some crazy stuff out there. And you know what? The ego would want to kind of title it. Wants to understand, like, why? Why am I creating this? It would be that. No. I don't understand what this means. I have no idea, Holy Spirit. I give it to you. You show me. Right? There's a lot of lessons in the Course in Miracles that says I don't know what this means. I don't understand what this means. This doesn't mean anything. So that we, the separated self, the ego self, is not judging it or making a judgment on it. Now this is the part where it's vital. This part that I'm about to talk about. You must say enough is enough with the fake imaginings, with the fear imaginings. You must say enough is enough. And I don't mean like whatever. No, I mean enough is enough. I am done with imagining this darkness. I am done with imagining this suffering. I am done with living this way. Of believing the truth that is not my truth, that the ego tells me that I am. That I'm a body, that I am separate, that my happiness is dependent on what's outside. that I need all these things to be happy, we must say enough is enough and understand the truth and remember God. And this is something not to be patient with. Not to be patient with this. I laugh when people tell me, I actually got this from another teacher that shared this once. You know, you're suffering, you're like, oh, let me be patient. Let me meditate, let me pray, let me be patient, let me take my time. No! Who wants to suffer? Who wants to be patient? I mean, we laugh, but it's the truth. Who wants to be patient in that misery? No, that's it. No more, enough. In Spanish, we say, ya basta. Like, that's it. I want to experience my truth. I want to imagine my truth. That truth that I am one with God. And imagine and remember, remembering again and imagining that place where I've never left. Which is where I started my talk. We must remember that, although it seems that we're here. We must remember that as we walk the streets and remember, this is not really my home. This is not really my home. I'm from somewhere else, which has nothing to do with this war and this separation and these grievances. We must recognize that. I feel that sometimes we say, oh, this is a kind world, this is a... No. I know, I told you this is going to be advanced today. Right? It's not. Where we come from is. It is beyond kind. So our responsibility, each and every one of us, and this is what I'm working on with my course group in Spanish on Mondays, our goal this year is to take our part in the Great Awakening. To do our part, each and every one of us, on awakening consciousness, so that we can awaken to that truth of what we are. The Course in Miracles says it only takes one. It only takes one because it was only one energy that created the separation. Right? So it's just remembering again who we are. And it's interesting because every second, within the second, we could choose that. I'm in a wrong mind, Holy Spirit, guide me. I'm in a wrong mind, I'm thinking I'm not enough. No, I am good enough. Right? It's just constantly working with your mind. That's why, even I was reading up on imagination on Unity, and it was saying how our thoughts create our world. I mean, that's what Unity is all about. We create everything by our thoughts. Right? So we must become responsible for those thoughts. We must take our part in really being present to our thoughts and what we're choosing. I feel that sometimes we're not disciplined. I know because I've experienced it. We're not disciplined with our praying. We're not disciplined with our meditating. We're not disciplined with going within and checking our thoughts and seeing what we're thinking. We're not disciplined with that. We must become disciplined because enough is enough, and we're done with being patient with feeling like caca. Okay? We must be done. And say, that's it. You're worthy of that. You're worthy of that. It feels like ages of suffering sometimes. Ages. It's like, okay, I'm done. God, I want to go home. Wherever that was, that there was, I look at this world and I see the things that occur, I see the experiences and stuff, and I'm like, there's no way that this is where I'm from. No, I'm not this body. I mean, how limited I would be if I'm just this body. I am spirits. You are spirits. And that is what we must remember all the time, as best as we can. If we forget, we remember. We might fall off the wagon every once in a while where things happen because we're in a body. We appear we're in a body and we're separate, and we believe the ego because we made it up. So we must take back our power. Give it to the right teacher. Give it to Holy Spirit. And say, Holy Spirit, guide me now. And that would be the next step. So the first thing to imagine the truth is say, enough is enough. I'm willing to remember where I come from. And then part 2 would be to ask the Holy Spirit and choose the right teacher. Holy Spirit, let me see this another way. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of sprinkle. Okay, a little bit of sprinkle here. I'm going to give you a little bit more. This is vital. One of the ways to come back home to that place that we were imagining at the beginning is to remember that everything you're seeing is a mirror. Everything you're seeing is a mirror. And as you hold your brother and sister in high regard, you're holding yourself in high regard. And the Course in Miracles would say that everything that is outside is either love or a call for love. So how would you attack your brother when it seems that he's attacking you, but the truth is that he's calling for love? Why would you attack somebody that's calling for love? It might look distorted, like if they're really attacking, but they're really not attacking. And it really brings me tears because I've experienced this. They're not really attacking. They're calling for love. They don't know how. They think that they separated from their father, but they really haven't. They're having a moment. Love them. Love them. Love them. Guess what? You're doing it not only for them, but for yourself. Because it's a mirror, you see. It's funny because when I look at my neighbor, I'm like, oh, there I am. I'm everywhere. Because I'm one with everything. I mean, honestly, this is the way I live my life. Everything is just, so whenever I'm about to get upset, I'm like, no, that's me. There's something within me, my conscious guilt, that's projecting out there. I'm never upset for the reason we think. I'm not upset because of that person, what that person did. No, I am upset because I feel that I've separated from my father and I haven't. So let me take my power back. And I know that this is a new, I could tell because of your faces, this is like a whole new world that's coming up today here. So I'm happy to be starting this series on imagination on this note, because as I started to understand these concepts when I first started the course, and I know a lot of people say, well, how was the world created, you know, with the Big Bang and things like that. The Course in Miracles, this would be the concept, which I like. It's helpful for me. Okay, so I invite you to take that on, to take on recognizing that the symbols out there that kind of mesmerize you sometimes or trans you out, that are not coming from love, to just remember that all that is a call for love, no matter what. No matter what the form is. No matter what now, you guys are, you know, you're with your head like this and everybody's like, yeah, but let's do it. It's easy to get caught up, to not want to make it real, to justify, to attack. Another beautiful lesson from the Course in Miracles: in my defenselessness, my safety lies. If I defend it, it means that if something in there, I see it's real, because then why am I going to defend it? Hey, let's go even a little bit further. I mean, if you spot it, you got it. If you spot it, you got it. If you see it, why do you see it? Because you got it. The time has come. Enough is enough. Maybe that should have been my talk title. Enough is enough. Right? Enough is enough. I'm going to say a story and then I'll wrap it up. Yesterday, I do weddings on quick I-dos, they're called. They're very quick. And I was doing it on Mulholland Drive up there in one of the mountains. And I have a very distressed groom on the phone, and he's very upset. Maria, I came here and the park ranger is not going to let us get married because he says we're not, it's not allowed here. He says a bunch of people dressed up and he's not having, and I've done like over 20 weddings there. I'm not sure what's going on. But, I told him, don't worry about it. We're going to get you married. If we have to go to a park, if we have to go to Starbucks, we're doing it. It's happening. It's happening. Don't worry. We're doing this, right? And he's like, okay, blah, blah, blah. So I get to the place, and I could already feel the energy. Everybody's very frazzled. At that moment, my job is to what? To ask the Holy Spirit for help. Holy Spirit, guide me. How am I to serve in this moment now? I don't know. Show me the way. I know this is coming from me, so let me have fun with this. Let me play. I get out of the car. Hi, everyone. I'm like, Ready, let's get married. And he's like, well, the guy actually said that we can get married, but then after he's going to ask you for your license and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, well, I knew that something was going to happen. But I followed my instincts and I did the wedding. After the wedding, I can see that this park ranger is one of those park rangers that really does his job. He's very into this job, to say it lightly. And I was signing the license, and he was like blocking my car. Like, he didn't want me to get out because he wants me to do this paperwork, which I was planning on doing it anyways, but I was just taking care of business. So I get out, and he's already, I could feel it. I could see it in his face, and there's my opportunity to what? My opportunity to love, and my opportunity to understand that it's a call for love, right? And I could feel the fear, though. It's interesting because I've been practicing this for so long, so I could feel the awareness of one moment getting scared, and I'll tell you when. So he says, you're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to do weddings here. He's like, let me have your license, this and that. You guys might get a citation. You are the company, and you're going to have to pay some sort of penalty or something at the court because it's a misdemeanor. And he started using all these words. That's when I could feel it, the misdemeanor, or it could be, and I started like, my heart was like, I could feel it. And then I'm like, but I remember God. I remember God. I saw him, and I looked at him, and it was so beautiful because I looked at him, and I never attacked him. I was so loving with him. The first thing I told him is, thank you for letting me do the wedding. And he says, and this is what's going to happen. And I go, well, that's okay. I was like, I'm coming here to do my job. The company sent me here. I've come here many times, and I'm just doing my job. He's like, and I'm doing mine. And I said, yes. I go, you're doing such a good job at it. I told him like that. I go, you're doing such a good job. And I said, and I'm not scared because I believe in God. And I know that everything's going to come out just fine. Not only for you, but for me. And he looked at me like he was like, his eyes were open. And I experienced him. I saw his love. That's what I'm there for. I'm not there to see his littleness. I'm not there to judge him. Who am I? I am there to hold my brother in high regard. And that's exactly what I did. Even though it appeared that he was whatever it was. I'm going to see the truth. That's my job. And we had this moment of where I said to myself, if anything happens from here on out, whatever it might be, whatever ticket I might receive or whatever citation, whatever it might be, it was worth it. And I'll pay whatever I have to do to pay if I can have that experience with my brother again. That is the gift. Not the money, not anything. I'm put there for a purpose. I was journaling after the Holy Spirit told me that was a lesson for him to recognize the love that he is. Beautiful. That is our job, ladies and gentlemen. That is our job. I invite you to close your eyes. If we can have a little bit of keyboard here, a little bit of melody. You have close your eyes real quick. And let's imagine. A little bit of imagination before we close up. And just take a deep breath here through your nose. 2 more. And I want you to make the commitment now to imagine more and more every day your truth. To imagine that place that you're from, that you've never left, although it seems like. You see the sun. You see laughter, freedom. You see no suffering because there's no suffering that exists there. It's just bliss. Everyone is equal. Everyone has everything. That's where we come from. There's no disease, there's no illness, there's no fear. We're just one with everything. You feel relief. And you're grateful as you finally have come home. You see as God hugs you and welcomes you. It's like you're in a cocoon and you're never hurt. You're always taken care of. As you feel the presence of God, you experience these words. You are a perfect child of God. you accept and you're willing to experience that perfection in your life and do your part in the great awakening. Enough is enough. No more. I am a perfect child of God. You may open your eyes. You are a perfect child of God. Amen.